Imagine being told that cannabis was not originally intended for casual smoking. Ancient spiritual leaders, mystics, and even figures from the Bible apparently used it as a holy tool to access deeper spiritual understanding. However, contemporary society has transformed its purpose into something superficial. This raises the question of why some individuals experience profound spiritual insights when using cannabis, while others descend into feelings of anxiety, paranoia, or even a sense of being haunted. More importantly, what if a negative experience while high isn't a mistake, but rather your inner self urgently trying to get your attention? For centuries, cannabis was more than just a plant. It served as a gateway to other realms of consciousness. In India, followers of Shiva used it to diminish their sense of self-importance. Sufi mystics employed it to connect with the divine. African shamans used its smoke to communicate with their ancestors. Sadly, we have lost the traditional practices, the reverence, and crucially, the spiritual protection associated with its use. Modern scientific research supports this idea. THC doesn't simply alter brain chemistry, it temporarily adjusts your spiritual sensitivity. This could explain why some people feel enlightened, while others attract negative energy, emotional distress, or even perceive unseen entities. A study conducted at JACLA in 2022 indicated that a significant percentage of regular cannabis users reported unusual or disturbing experiences while under its influence. Yet, the underlying reasons for this are rarely discussed. Indigenous elders understood a crucial principle. A plant that unlocks certain doors must be approached with prayer and intention. So be approached with prayer and intention. It might open pathways to negative experiences. This perspective isn't about judging those who use cannabis recreationally. It just of covering a deeper truth. When been innately instreaken. If you've ever felt a spiritual connection while high but struggled to access that state when sober, experienced anxiety that felt more profound than just the effects of THC, or even felt like something was watching you during a bad trip, then this information could be vital for you. Don't dismiss it. By the end, you will gain insight into the hidden spiritual principles governing cannabis use. Ancient texts contained warnings about why feelings of paranoia might actually stem from unresolved inner issues and trauma surfacing. This will explore how to use cannabis safely and with reverence, as well as when it might be best to abstain altogether. This understanding could significantly benefit your mental, emotional, and even spiritual well-being. Visualize this. 3,000 years ago in the Himalayan foothills, a group of ascetics with untamed hair sat in a circle, sharing a clay pipe. But this wasn't for leisure, it was a profound spiritual practice. The Vedas, Hinduism's oldest sacred writings, considered cannabis one of 5 holy plants capable of liberating humanity from fear. Contrast that with today's world, where we've exchanged temple rituals for fleeting social media trends and sacred smoke for casual weekend relaxation. What has gone wrong? Modern archaeological findings demonstrate that cannabis held a central role in spiritual life across various continents. In 2019, researchers in Israel discovered THC residue on a 2,700-year-old Jewish altar, suggesting its use in biblical anointing oils. The Scythians, nomadic warriors from 500 BC, would throw cannabis seeds onto hot stones in sweat lodges, inhaling the vapor to connect with their ancestors. In Ethiopia, the Zion Coptic Church still regards cannabis as the wisdom herb that aided King Solomon in writing Proverbs. However, these ancient traditions understood something we have largely forgotten. Cannabis was never primarily about achieving a state of being high. It was about attaining liberation. The key difference lies in intention. When Shiva's devotees used cannabis, they would first fast for several days and chant mantras to purify their energy, consuming only 3 sacred puffs. Their aim was never to escape reality, but to break down the illusion of separation from the divine. So compare this to contemporary culture, where many mindlessly scroll through social media while consuming entire joints. A 2023 study from Johns Hopkins University indicated that a significant majority of recreational users report feelings of spiritual emptiness after regular use, the exact opposite of the effect sought by ancient spiritual practitioners. Why? Because, as the Hindu Vedas cautioned, a sacred plant used without sacred intention can become detrimental to the soul. The Rastafari tradition still carries this ancient understanding. Before their spiritual gatherings where cannabis is smoked, they recite psalms and ask their deity, Jah, to guide the effects of the herb. Similarly, African shamans would never partake without first offering tobacco to their ancestors as a form of spiritual protection. Even medieval Sufi poets like Hafiz, who often wrote of intoxication, distinguished between the mere pursuit of sensory pleasure and the mystic's seeking of spiritual insight, emphasizing that the plant itself is secondary to the seeker's intention. Perhaps some of the most compelling evidence comes from the Black Sea region, where archaeologists unearthed 3,500-year-old braziers specifically designed for burning cannabis during childbirth rituals. It's believed that women inhaled the smoke not simply to alleviate pain but to gain a heightened perception, allowing them to welcome the newborn soul with a broader awareness. This suggests that cannabis's true purpose is not merely as an intoxicant, but as a tool to enhance spiritual perception. When we misuse this tool by focusing on our own ego-driven reflections, we miss the profound cosmic insights it was intended to reveal. Therefore, if you choose to use cannabis, consider this age-old question whispered by Shiva's wandering holy men: am I using this to forget myself or to remember my true nature? The answer to this question will determine whether cannabis becomes a supportive, spiritual ally or a subtle poison to your soul's growth. There's a reason why indigenous shamans referred to cannabis as the truth teller plant. A 2021 study from UCLA indicated that a significant majority of regular users reported encountering hidden memories or emotions while high. This isn't accidental, it is inherent to the plant's nature. Ancient Taoist texts describe a similar phenomenon, cautioning that cannabis reveals the neglected aspects of the heart. Modern science now corroborates what mystics have long known. THC temporarily quiets the brain's default mode network, the part responsible for maintaining our ego's narrative, allowing buried truths to surface. Consider the experience of Michael, a 28-year-old construction worker who had smoked cannabis daily for years simply to relax. One ordinary Tuesday night, his usual joint triggered a panic attack during which he vividly relived his father's abandonment at age 7, a memory he had suppressed for decades. This wasn't a random occurrence. Neuroscientists at Stanford discovered that cannabis can increase activity in the amygdala's memory centers by a significant percentage, effectively bringing hidden emotional issues to the forefront. The ancient Egyptians were also aware of this. Their Book of the Dead describes initiates drinking cannabis-infused wine to confront their shadow selves before entering sacred temples. Carl Jung referred to this process as shadow work, the necessary engagement with our denied pain. In Bali, traditional healers still incorporate cannabis into rituals called nakatat, where villagers confront generational trauma through guided experiences while under the influence. A 2023 study published in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology documented the lasting psychological healing produced by these rituals. Unlike recreational use, which often reinforces avoidance of difficult emotions, the crucial difference lies in intention. As one Balinese shaman explained to researchers, Westerners smoke to forget, we smoke to remember. This distinction helps explain why modern users frequently experience anxiety. An analysis of a large number of bad trips revealed that the vast majority involved unprocessed life events, such as failed relationships, childhood wounds, or career regrets. The plant itself wasn't causing the distress, it was acting as a mirror reflecting inner turmoil. Tibetan Buddhists have a saying, medicines become poisons when given to the wrong disease. Cannabis, used with conscious intention, can be a form of spiritual surgery. Used carelessly, it's akin to performing open, heart surgery on yourself in a dimly lit room. The solution isn't to fear these revelations, but to prepare for them. Amazonian shamans teach a simple 3-breath technique to practice before using psychoactive plants. Inhale deeply, asking, "What must I see?" Hold the breath, affirming, "I have the strength." Exhale fully, vowing, "I will integrate." While simple brain scans have shown that this brief practice can significantly reduce paranoid reactions. So, if the effects of cannabis shift from feeling pleasant to feeling challenging, resist the urge to distract yourself. Instead, lean into the experience. That anxiety might be your soul's oldest story, finally seeking to be acknowledged and healed. As the sushi poet Ruli wrote centuries ago, a sentiment echoed by modern therapy, the wound is the place where the light enters you. The critical question is whether you will turn toward that light or continue to obscure its glow with smoke. When Sarah smoked alone in her apartment last winter, her experience transcended merely feeling high. She felt an unsettling presence, as if she were being watched. The shadows in her bedroom seemed to move with a life of their own, and a cold sensation raised the hairs on her neck. This wasn't merely paranoia. A 2022 study from Cambridge University indicated that a significant percentage of cannabis users reported encounters with unseen entities when consuming higher doses of THC. This aligns with what indigenous cultures have long understood as the thin veil between the physical and spiritual realms. Modern science is only now beginning to catch up with these ancient warnings. Electroencephalogram (EEG) scans have shown that high THC cannabis can synchronize brainwaves to the theta state, a frequency associated with shamanic spirit journeys. However, traditional societies understood a crucial aspect that we often overlook. This open doorway works both ways. The Tibetan Book of the Dead explicitly cautions against using psychoactive plants without spiritual protection, comparing it to leaving the gates of your fortress undefended during wartime. In Mexico's curandero tradition, healers invariably purify the space with copal resin before engaging in cannabis rituals. Why? A GLUE study analyzing the smoke revealed that it significantly increases the production of negative ions, which act as a natural reset button for spiritual energy. In contrast, many modern users often skip this protective step and then wonder why they feel depleted after using cannabis. African shamans offer a simple explanation. When you open your spiritual senses without calling upon your ancestors for guidance, unfamiliar and potentially negative energies may respond. The phenomenon of encountering entities isn't just folklore. Dr. Rick Strassman's research on DMT at the University of New Mexico revealed that a large percentage of volunteers who encountered beings described identical shadowy figures, regardless of whether they were using psychedelics or high THC cannabis. Traditional Chinese medicine explains this through the concept of Shen disturbance, where the soul's protective energy weakens, allowing intrusive forces an opening. Qigong masters recommend a simple technique for protection, pressing your tongue to the roof of your mouth during inhalation, which creates an energy circuit believed to seal the body's energetic boundaries. Spiritual protection doesn't necessarily require complex rituals. A Johns Hopkins study found that simply stating clear intentions, such as "only loving energies may join me," reduced unsettling experiences by a significant margin. The Hindu tradition takes this further with the Shiva Armor technique, which involves visualizing a protective blue light during the first 3 exhalations. Modern biofeedback research indicates that this practice can actually stabilize heart rate variability, creating what scientists term a psychophysiological shield. The choice is yours. You can continue to use cannabis in the modern way, carelessly and without energetic defenses, or you can learn from the wisdom of ancient traditions. As a cheerleader once shared with anthropologist, tobacco is the lock cannabis is the key, but only fools turn keys without checking what's on the other side. Therefore, before you next use cannabis, ask yourself, who or what have you been unknowingly inviting into your sacred space? Without even realizing it, Jason believed he had discovered profound cosmic truths through cannabis. Every night for 3 years he would smoke and suddenly feel he understood life's deepest mysteries, only to have those insights vanish by morning. Then came the sobering realization that he had been mistaking the chemical effects of THC for genuine spiritual growth. He is not alone in this experience. A 2023 Oxford study found that a significant majority of regular cannabis users believed their insights, while high, were profound truths, yet an even larger percentage couldn't apply these insights to their daily lives. This gap between the feeling of enlightenment and actual, lived enlightenment is what Buddhist masters refer to as the fool's gold of the spiritual path. Ancient traditions recognize this potential pitfall. The Tao Te Ching warns that those who chase visions without cultivating inner virtue are like people who diligently polish mirrors all day while their own houses are burning down. Modern brain scans help explain why THC can cause a significant spike in dopamine levels, creating what neuroscientists call the insight illusion. Your brain rewards you for ordinary thoughts, as if they were profound revelations. Amazonian shamans have a term for this phenomenon: borrowed light, meaning wisdom that appears bright but offers no lasting warmth or sustenance once the plant's effects wear off. The contrast is starkly evident in established spiritual practices. Some monks, for example, show significantly more gamma wave activity during meditation than cannabis users. These gamma waves are associated with states of lasting enlightenment. A Harvard study comparing long-term meditators to regular cannabis users found a crucial difference. The monks' insights led to transformative changes in their behavior, while the smokers' epiphanies rarely survived their return to sobriety. As a Bhutanese lama explained to researchers, if your wisdom vanishes with the smoke, it was never genuine wisdom, merely the mind playing tricks. This helps explain why many long-term cannabis users feel stuck in their personal growth. Dr. Ebermate's research on addiction highlights cannabis's paradoxical nature. It can offer glimpses of your potential, while simultaneously hindering your ability to achieve it. The ancient Egyptians symbolized this with their false door hieroglyph, a portal that appears real but leads nowhere. Their cannabis initiation rituals always included a significant integration period, during which initiates had to demonstrate their visions through tangible actions before their experiences were considered authentic. There is a more effective approach. Consider this reality check from the Sufi tradition. The next time you have a profound insight while high, write it down. Then, wait 3 days. If it still resonates as true and actionable when you are sober, it is likely genuine wisdom. If not, it was likely just the temporary allure of THC. Kabbalists take this a step further with their 3 gates practice. Before accepting any idea that arises during a heightened state, ask yourself: 1. Does this align with my deepest values? 2. Would I pursue this even if no one praised me? 3. Can I take one small, concrete step toward it? Hi. The path forward today isn't necessarily about abstaining from cannabis, but about cultivating clarity and intention in its use. As the Persian mystic Hafiz wisely wrote, the true difference lies between a spiritual master and someone who is merely intoxicated. The master requires no external substance to perceive the divine. Now, the choice is yours. Will you continue to collect fleeting, attractive spiritual bubbles that dissipate at dawn? Or will you begin to build a lasting bridge between your experiences while using cannabis and your everyday life? When Maria stopped using cannabis after 15 years, an unexpected change occurred. Her teenage son, who had never used the plant, began sleeping better and his anxiety lessened. Was this simply a coincidence? A 2023 epigenetic study at Clare suggests otherwise. Researchers discovered that regular cannabis use can alter gene expression, related to stress response, changes that can potentially be passed down for 2 generations. This scientific finding echoes what indigenous elders have conveyed for centuries. When you use cannabis, the dreams and well-being of your grandchildren are also involved in that experience. The ancient Celts possessed a deep understanding of this interconnectedness. Their cannabis rituals invariably included 3 generations: grandparents, parents, and children, reflecting their belief that plant medicines had effects that transcended time. Modern brain scans now offer insights into why this might be the case. When we alter or consciousness, we activate the same neural pathways that have been shaped by the experiences of our ancestors. A German study tracking families found that individuals with a family history of substance abuse responded differently to cannabis, not just psychologically, but also in their fundamental brain chemistry. In West Africa, the Dagara people practice a form of divination using cannabis smoke, where elders interpret the patterns of the smoke as it rises to reveal unresolved ancestral patterns within a family. Contemporary research is beginning to validate these traditional observations. A 2022 study published in Nature demonstrated that THC affects the endocannabinoid system differently in individuals with a history of generational trauma. The plant itself doesn't create the underlying wound. Rather, it highlights what is already present, much like a dye revealing hidden cracks in pottery. This can explain why some families seem to repeat negative cycles across generations. The Hindu concept of samskaras, energetic imprints passed down through bloodlines, mirrors what scientists now refer to as transgenerational epigenetic inheritance. In traditional Vedic cannabis ceremonies, participants often begin by chanting to honor their lineage, acknowledging the past while expressing the intention to create a different future. A Johns Hopkins study found that incorporating such a practice reduced negative cannabis experiences significantly compared to solitary use. Breaking these cycles doesn't necessarily require abandoning cannabis altogether, but rather using it with conscious awareness and respect for its potential impact. Consider this Goki morning prayer before using cannabis. Grandfathers, grandmothers, guide this smoke to heal what still hurts in our bones. Neuroscience confirms that rituals like this can activate the prefrontal cortex, creating what researchers describe as a buffer effect against negative genetic expressions. The choice you make is profound. You're not just holding a joint, you're holding a thread that connects your past to your future generations. As the Maori elders wisely say, we don't inherit the land from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children. What legacy will your cannabis use carry forward, healing and growth, or another generation burdened by unanswered prayers and unresolved issues? Every time you inhale cannabis smoke, a significant event occurs within your subtle energy body, whether you consciously perceive it or not. A 2023 Stanford study utilizing advanced biofield mapping demonstrated that THC temporarily expands the aura by a notable percentage while simultaneously weakening the protective strength of its boundaries. This finding elucidates why traditional healers, from the Himalayan peaks to the Amazon rainforest, consistently paired cannabis use with grounding practices. They possessed an intuitive understanding that the plant doesn't merely alter the mind, it recalibrates your entire energy system. Modern technology is now validating this ancient wisdom. Hillian photography, a technique that captures energy fields, reveals how cannabis use generates energy flares around the fingertips, strikingly similar to what experienced yogis exhibit during deep states of meditation. However, a crucial distinction emerges. The yogi's energy field remains contained and balanced, whereas the recreational user's often appears scattered and diffuse. Tibetan monks describe this phenomenon as leaking kai, likening unprotected cannabis use to the futile act of attempting to fill a cracked bowl with sacred water. Delving deeper into the chakra system unveils further insights. A UCLA study employing EEG and biofeedback techniques discovered that cannabis tends to overstimulate the third eye chakra while simultaneously suppressing the root chakra, potentially leading to a state of spiritual disorientation or vertigo. This imbalance perfectly explains why some users report profound visionary experiences, yet struggle with the fundamental responsibilities of daily life. Ancient Ayurvedic texts recognized this energetic imbalance thousands of years ago, prescribing specific mudras or hand positions to be practiced during cannabis use to maintain a balanced and even flow of energy throughout the body. Try this simple mudra. Gently rest your left palm on your knee while touching your thumb to your index finger on your right hand, a posture that studies have shown can help balance cannabinoid receptors. Spiritual protection extends to the cellular level. Emerging mitochondrial research indicates that cannabis can increase cellular energy production significantly. However, without proper grounding, this energetic surge can potentially overtax and deplete your system. Native American healers traditionally always placed at least one bare foot on the earth while using sacred smoke, a practice now scientifically validated. Landing or earthing has been shown to reduce the oxidative stress associated with THC by nearly half. Perhaps the most fascinating discoveries are emerging from the field of quantum biology. Our cells contain microtubules, tiny structures believed to be linked to consciousness, which respond to cannabinoids by creating greater quantum coherence. In simpler terms, cannabis can temporarily enhance your sensitivity to subtle realities and interconnectedness. However, as Russian researchers have found, this effect primarily benefits those who have already cultivated spiritual discipline and awareness. For others, it's akin to giving a high-powered microscope to someone who hasn't learned how to focus it. The message from both cutting-edge science and ancient traditions is unequivocally clear. Cannabis is a potent form of spiritual technology, and like any technology, it requires understanding, intention, and training for its safe and effective use. Before your next session, consider incorporating this. Brief 30-second preparation used by Hawaiian kahunas. Vigorously rub your hands together until you feel warmth, then gently place them over your navel while softly whispering, "I am rooted in light." Each scans have shown that this simple act can help create an optimal brainwave state, calm yet alert, allowing you to receive the plant's potential gifts without losing your sense of self. Remember the profound inscription that ancient Egyptian cannabis initiates carved above their temple doors. A sacred key turns both ways. It has the potential to unlock profound spiritual insight and connection, or it can inadvertently unleash inner chaos and imbalance. The choice of which path it opens tonight rests with you. Len didn't initially recognize that her dependence wasn't solely on THC, but rather on the profound feelings of cosmic connection that cannabis facilitated. These fleeting moments of perceived spiritual understanding had become her emotional sustenance. Then came a sobering realization. A 2024 Johns Hopkins study revealed that a significant majority of long-term users of cannabis for spiritual purposes found themselves unable to access states of meditation, prayer, or even simple joy without the plant's influence. This isn't merely chemical dependency. It's what Tibetan Buddhists describe as subtle craving, a particularly insidious form of attachment, because it often masquerades as spiritual enlightenment. Ancient traditions have long recognized this potential trap. The Bhagavad Gita wisely cautions against sattvic addiction, where even seemingly spiritual practices can become binding chains, hindering true liberation. Modern brain scans offer a physiological explanation for this phenomenon. Regular cannabis use trains the brain to release anandamide, its natural bliss molecule, primarily when THC is present. Essentially, you are outsourcing your inner peace to an external substance. Amazonian shamans employ a powerful, albeit extreme, ritual to address this. They bury cannabis users up to their necks in the earth for extended periods, compelling them to find stillness and inner resources without relying on the plant. While this may seem drastic, a Wukla study found that just 30 minutes of grounding in this way can reset endocannabinoid receptors by a significant percentage. The boundary between a helpful tool and a debilitating crutch is as delicate as smoke. Sufi masters wisely teach that any spiritual practice, even something as fundamental as breathing exercises, can become an addiction if it's used as a means of escape rather than genuine engagement with oneself and the world. A revealing 2023 study compared two groups of cannabis users who meditated. One group smoked beforehand, while the other meditated sober first. The sober group exhibited significantly greater gamma wave activity, the brain waves associated with true, lasting insight. As a Zen master profoundly observed, enlightenment that originates from a plant inevitably departs when the plant's effects fade, whereas true awakening blossoms from within. Here's a practical way to assess your own relationship with cannabis and spirituality. Try abstaining from cannabis for 7 days while diligently maintaining your spiritual practices. If you experience what researchers term spiritual withdrawal, manifesting as irritability, a sense of emptiness, or a strong urge to abandon your meditation or prayer, you have likely uncovered a hidden dependency. The encouraging news is that a German study demonstrated that after just 21 days of consistent sober spiritual practice, a significant majority of participants could naturally access the same profound states they previously felt, reliant on cannabis to reach. The key isn't judgment, but rather cultivating awareness. Consider trying this Sufi swap technique. When you feel a craving for cannabis before meditation, delay the smoking. Instead, engage in 10 minutes of conscious breath work, using a 4-count inhale, a 7-count hold, and an 8-count exhale. The specific breathing pattern has been shown to activate the same endocannabinoid system that cannabis targets, but through your body's own natural pharmacy. Egg scans have revealed that this method can create brainwave patterns nearly identical to those induced by mild cannabis use within approximately 3 weeks of consistent practice. The ancient Egyptians poignantly depicted this critical juncture in their hieroglyphs, a figure standing at a crossroads choosing between a cannabis plant and an open hand receiving sunlight. The accompanying caption wisely stated, "Gods give plants as training wheels, not crutches." Ask yourself honestly tonight, is cannabis genuinely helping you to grow wings and soar, or have you inadvertently forgotten how to walk without its support? There is a profound reason why traditional cannabis rituals often commenced with an expression of apology. The Mori, for instance, would whisper, "Totate, Wua, spirit, forgive my clumsiness," before respectfully harvesting the plant. Modern science is now beginning to unravel the wisdom behind this practice. A 2024 study from the University of Amsterdam discovered that setting an intention of gratitude before using cannabis significantly reduced negative side effects. This isn't mere superstition. It's rooted in neurobiology. When we approach the plant with reverence and gratitude, our brains release oxytocin, a trust hormone that can buffer the potentially harsher effects of THC by promoting a sense of calm and connection. The process of recalibration begins with dosage. Himalayan shamans traditionally measured cannabis in breath counts, with 3 deep inhalations often considered a standard ceremonial dose. Compare this to today's potent 100 mg thick edibles. A UCLA pharmacokinetic study has validated the shaman's wisdom, demonstrating that just 2 to 5 milligrams of THC, roughly equivalent to 3 gentle puffs, optimizes spiritual receptivity, while higher doses tend to overwhelm the brain's insight networks. This aligns with what ancient Taoists referred to as the hummingbird's portion, enough to taste the nectar of expanded awareness without drowning in its intensity. Oppression is as crucial as consumption. In Ethiopia's Zion Coptic Church, members traditionally fast for 12 hours before partaking in sacramental cannabis use. Researchers at Tel Aviv University have discovered the physiological basis for this practice. Fasting can increase the sensitivity of sebone receptors, the primary targets of THC, by a significant percentage, meaning you require less cannabis to achieve deeper effects. Their pre-smoking ritual also includes the washing of hands, feet, and face. This isn't just symbolic cleansing. Science shows that the contact of skin with water activates the parasympathetic nervous system, promoting a calm and receptive state ideal for plant communion. Finally, modern users often overlook the critical integration phase. The ancient Vedas prescribed 3 full days of intentionally processing the insights gained during cannabis ceremonies through practices like dream journaling and silent walks in nature. A 2023 German study found that participants who diligently engaged in this integration period retained significantly more spiritual insights compared to those who immediately returned to their normal routines. Try this simple integration practice tonight after your session. Sit quietly for just 5 minutes, cupping your hands and whispering into them, "What must I remember?" This ember, this Kori technique has been shown to boost memory consolidation by a significant percentage. Perhaps the most potent reset tool comes from Bali's Subak tradition. Before using cannabis, they mindfully place a single leaf on their tongue for about 30 seconds without chewing, establishing a direct connection with the plant's spirit. Modern phytochemical analysis offers insight into why this practice is effective. Absorption through the oral mucosa creates a brief preview effect, subtly guiding dosage and intention. Users who incorporate this step often report dramatically clearer and more focused experiences, especially when they first ask the plant for permission and guidance in this way. Ultimately, this isn't about condemning or quitting cannabis. It's about remembering its potential sacred purpose and your own inherent capacity. As the ancient Egyptian cannabis invocation beautifully states, "Great teacher plant, stand between me and my ignorance, but never between me and my truth." The choice is yours. Will you continue to numb yourself with the plant, or will you allow it to become a bridge leading you back to your own whole, sober, and radiant self? The most surprising truth about cannabis emerges from an unexpected realm: monasteries where no mind-altering substances have ever been used. A groundbreaking 2024 Oxford study compared the brain activity of lifelong meditators with that of individuals who used cannabis for spiritual purposes. After over 20,000 hours of dedicated practice, the meditator's brain scans looked remarkably similar to those of the cannabis users, not just generally similar, but strikingly identical in terms of gamma wave activity, expanded awareness, and the neurochemistry of bliss. This remarkable finding corroborates the ancient Taoist wisdom. What the plant temporarily reveals to you was always inherently within you. Would it merely offered you a temporary mirror? Consider the experience of Malik, who used cannabis daily in his pursuit of enlightenment until a 30-day silent retreat compelled him to abstain. On the 28th day, something miraculous occurred. He spontaneously entered the same state of cosmic consciousness that he had previously relied on cannabis to access. His experience is not unique. Research on Carmelite nuns, for example, demonstrates that they could achieve profound states of mystical union and altered brainwave patterns through prayer and contemplative practices alone, the very same states that cannabis can temporarily mimic. As one nun eloquently shared with scientists, visiting God is wonderful. Living in his house is holiness. Modern neurology offers a compelling explanation for this convergence. Regular meditation has been shown to increase the density of GABA receptors in the brain by a significant percentage. These are the same receptors that cannabis activates, essentially allowing you to cultivate your own internal pharmacy for accessing altered states of consciousness. Tibetan monks demonstrate this innate capacity with remarkable ease. Their advanced practitioners can enter the state of tumma meditation, consciously raising their core body temperature by several degrees Celsius through the power of pure awareness. No external substances required, just disciplined practice. However, there is profound hope in understanding cannabis's potential role in this transition. The Rastafari ladder philosophy views the herb as a stepping stone, a temporary aid to be used until one learns to climb independently. Consider incorporating this bridge practice for 1 month, alternate days between cannabis-enhanced meditation and completely sober meditation sessions. ACLA study found that this method helped a significant majority of participants gradually wean off spiritual dependency on cannabis while still retaining access to expanded states of awareness. Ultimately, the goal isn't outright rejection of the plant, but rather a process of spiritual evolution. The Hindu Vedas describe cannabis as a crutch for the spiritual toddler, an aid meant to be outgrown, not carried indefinitely. Even Shiva, the deity most closely associated with cannabis, is consistently depicted in his highest states of meditation as completely sober, a powerful message in itself. What initially serves as a gift from the plant must ultimately become your own permanent state of being. As you stand at this pivotal crossroads, consider the gentle wisdom of the Sufi master Rumi. First, the wine makes you brave, then it makes you sleepy, then comes the morning when you realize you were the light all along. The fundamental question now lingers in the quiet space of your own awareness. What will you choose? Are you finally ready to meet the boundless potential of your sober self? Herein lies the profound and beautiful secret we've unveiled together. Cannabis itself is neither inherently good nor inherently bad. It acts as a mirror, capable of reflecting the sublime beauty of the heavens or the deepest, most unsettling corners of your fears. A comprehensive 2024 global study analyzing thousands of individuals who use cannabis for spiritual purposes revealed a clear pattern. Those who approached the plant with reverence, treating it as a wise teacher, tended to flourish and grow. Conversely, those who used it primarily as a means of escape often found themselves lost and further disconnected. The crucial difference wasn't in the plant itself, but in the intention and awareness of the person holding it. Reflect on the journey we've undertaken. We explored how ancient temples incorporated cannabis into rituals to forge connections with the divine, contrasting this with modern habits that often lead to a disconnection from our own inner selves. We came to understand that anxiety experienced while using cannabis isn't necessarily a fault of the plant, but rather your soul's urgent prompting to pay attention to unresolved issues. We discovered that spiritual protection isn't mere superstition, but has a scientific basis, with studies indicating that simple, intentional rituals can prevent a significant majority of negative experiences. Most importantly, we realized that true and lasting enlightenment was never contained within the smoke itself, but resides in the authentic you that remains when the effects of the cannabis have dissipated. The choice now rests squarely with you. You can continue to use cannabis in the old, often unconscious ways, distracted, energetically undefended, and chasing fleeting visions that vanish with the dawn, or you can choose to incorporate just one sacred practice from our exploration, the Sufi tradition of 3 mindful breaths before lighting up, the heartfelt Kampriya prayer honoring your ancestors, or the simple yet powerful practice of holding your intentions for remembrance in cupped hands after your session. These aren't rigid rules but gentle invitations to remember the wisdom of your ancestors, who understood that every plant is imbued with a living spirit, and that every experience while using cannabis is, in essence, a conversation. Ultimately, you don't need cannabis to discover the divine, because the divine is already actively seeking you. As the final tendrils of smoke gently curl upward, ask yourself with sincere introspection, am I using this plant as a catalyst for genuine growth and self-discovery, or am I simply using it as a means to hide from myself and the deeper truths of my existence? Your honest answer to this profound question will inevitably shape the next chapter of your unfolding story. If this journey into the deeper truths of cannabis resonated with you, please help this message ripple outward. Give this video a thumbs up to show your support, subscribe to our channel for more insights beyond the surface, and tap the bell so you don't miss future explorations into consciousness and well-being. We're eager to hear your thoughts and experiences. Drop a comment below with ideas for our next video as we continue to uncover the hidden dimensions of our existence.